Hey Clifford, how
Hi,
are you?
I'm good. How are you, Steve?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. So what's going on for you and how could I help?
I've been working through your schedule, and so school has also started back a couple weeks ago. So it's been a juggle trying to balance like working my. So this is my final year of school. I'm a senior at American University in DC. So trying to balance my senior year classes with LSAT prep. Because at least before during the summer, I was able to go much harder on the LSAT prep, but now school came and in my schedule, I've been trying to like balance it all a little bit better and also just be at home. So I think what I decided to do is push my test date back, and I may or may not apply this coming cycle, but I'll probably just take the extra time to just really sit down and with the time constraints that I do have, I'm able to study more, or I guess as much as I was studying before in the summer, spread out more again. I probably got through like a month or so of the 2 month plan that you had sent me, and I think from that, I think I was actually pretty decently good at the logic games, much better than I thought. I guess before I've heard people talk about logic games in a way where they make it seem like very impossible or that it's like daunting. But I've been working through the problems, especially like in the order that in the order that you say for that to complete them in, and I feel like it's been fine. I had like a little lapse over the Labor Day weekend, probably was hanging out too much, but um, uh, I was started to drop back. But I think I realized, how do you know necessarily when you've made all the inferences in logic games? I think for me personally, I watched the videos that you make about all the problems, even if I got them right or not. I just want to see like how you diagrammed each game. But I think for me, once I feel like there was a point where I was under diagramming, and then I crossed it over to a point where I felt like I was over diagramming, and then sometimes I felt like I was either making silly mistakes in my over diagramming, and then other points I was like I felt like I wasn't doing enough. So I guess how do you find that balance when you feel like you've done enough, you're good to go for the questions, and you can answer them?
Yeah, that's a great question. It comes from
Mhm.
experience. There's not a hard and
Okay.
fast yes or no answer on this. The more games you do, the more you'll get a sense of when you can go far, when you can't. I have some videos on this. I'll send you one of them. To me, the more interesting question, though, Clifford, is how do you recalibrate your prep for January when you were initially going for October, right?
Hmm.
So you've suddenly opened up the space for another 3 or so months of prep. How are you going to use that prep efficiently? Postponing the
Hmm.
LSAT is incredibly common, but
Hmm.
it often requires more than we initially expect and other things come up. But how are you going to maximize those 3 months, and what are you going to do on a daily and weekly basis to make sure that you're able to maximize that time and you don't need to push it back yet again?
So I guess before I set like an unrealistic schedule for myself, since I'm still learning about online school and how to balance all of that while still being at home and managing like familial responsibilities and whatnot. I think just going forward to set like concrete times during specific days during the week where I can carve out time, as opposed to my unrealistic schedule of I was going to carve out at least 2 hours every single day, absent-minded, not looking at syllabi or anything like that. So when my readings would come up, I would look at my day and be like, okay, so I can't do LSAT today because I have to read all these pages for my classes, and then everything is thrown off. I feel guilty that didn't do my LSAT prep, and then I'm looking at the calendar at the end of each day to write for the next day about what I'm going to do. So I think going forward, my next step will be either I'm hoping that with the longer period of time, that each day on the checklist will be a little shorter. For I'll be able to either complete it in that shorter period, or I can be able to designate longer periods of times on certain days of the week to complete enough of the days where if I miss one, it's okay because I can make it up on, like, for example, if I did Monday and Thursdays on Saturdays, I'd have that time on each of those days to be able to get large chunks of the daily checklists according to the monthly plans that you put together, to be able to do those and do those well
That
and
makes a
feel
lot of sense to me.
confident.
Yeah. So if you're able to spread out your studying over a longer period of time, it's harder to fall behind because there isn't as much of an obligation on you each day and each week. But you're a senior in college. What's your course load like?
So I'm taking 12 credits a semester, and also one of the three of those credits are my thesis, my capstone, And we haven't really started too much into that yet, but what American University does, specifically the international relations majors, is they have one capstone that works exclusively with the State Department, and that is the class that it gets really hard in terms of like workload, and that's going to start for my group within the class next week, and then from then on we have like projects back to back to back and meetings back to back to back, in addition to my other 300 level classes.
Right. So how are you going to make sure that your LSAT prep doesn't get pushed to the side too often?
I think I'm just gonna try to be more secure in like my weekends and also some days during the week. So I'm thinking maybe something like either a Monday, Wednesday, and a Saturday, or another 3-day combo throughout the week that I can only dedicate to that, and also just using my weekends more effectively. Because I guess before when I was at school, I was more secure in the weekends being like my peace, my time. But like I guess since I'm at home, I can't necessarily have that same mindset because I'm at home relaxing because I'm also at home in this environment whereas like I was moving out, so being in certain places with like my piece there, but I don't have that necessarily. I kind of have to flip it and get to know this semester for all its nooks and crannies.
Good, good. So I heard you say earlier as well, like the blocking, picking 3 days a week, but what I hadn't heard was really blocking it off. Nothing else gets in the way. To me, that's key. Whether you block off 1 day a week or 3 days a week or 2 days a week, doesn't really matter exactly the number of days or even the number of hours, but the fact that you have that particular time dedicated where nothing else can get in the way, even if this capstone program gets pretty busy for you, the LSAT still is the priority for that window of time so that you will make progress no matter what every single week.
Yeah, that's going to be the key, is blocking out that excuse me, that certain like time schedule each week going forward. Because before, what would happen is I know that I have to do these set of logic games or these set of logical reasoning questions, and I know that those are things that are going on, but then I'll get like an email from class or an email from work, and then it's usually got like a time sensitive date, and then the day falls out of my hands, and then it's now 11, 12 o'clock. I know I have to wake up for 8 the next morning, and it's like, do I sleep? Do I do a little bit of the LSAT? And then I feel guilty if I only do a little bit, as opposed to what I set out to do from the night before. But I know that there's like a good sense of, quality over quantity necessarily in terms of the LSAT prep. But I don't know. It's just a lot in terms of balancing everything. But I'm trying to do it for the best I can.
Good. Well, kudos to you for allowing the extra time. Some folks would have just wanted to take it in October and get it done, or take it in November and get it done. But it takes longer than we expect to reach your fullest potential. It often takes 5 to 6 months, and postponing the LSAT or retaking it is extremely common. I think more students do than don't. And so the fact that you have that cushion, that you're not even necessarily applying this cycle, it's clearly, to me, the right move to go for January instead.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little hurt, but in the grand scheme of things, I just know how crucial the LSAT is in terms of getting scholarship money, and how crucial of a part of the application that is. In addition to, I feel like my application could also even be strengthened for law school if I'm able to also count in my senior year grades and have that increase my overall GPA from undergrad.
Yeah, exactly. That can only help as well.
So I feel like in the numbers scheme of it all, I feel like potentially applying next cycle, what is that, fall of 22, 21?
Yes, you'll apply in 21 to start in 22.
Right. So I feel like that might be a better plan.
Absolutely. Yeah, Clifford, you got it. This will, any other questions for today?
I feel like I had one more in regards to like the working through the logic game section. Oh, yeah. So you said experience when it comes to or over analyzing or over inferencing and under inferencing in the diagram, and then I guess my question kind of relates to rule substitution questions. Since I'm still like working through and like trying to practice, I've watched the videos that you've got. I know you had some sessions on rule substitution questions in the past couple of weeks, so I watched those. I guess one thing that I'm still not clear on is there like a basic fundamental that I need to be looking for rather in each logic game that has that kind of question? Because I know those are usually like the last question in the set of questions for logic games. So when I usually get to those, I guess since I've drawn so many different diagrams, so I've got the main one for the question, and then I've got the local ones for each different type of question. So my mind kind of has already these different like scenarios for the different variables that are in the diagram that I've drawn out for either the main diagram or the local ones for each question. So my mind necessarily wants to just like think through all of those as opposed to physically writing it down on a piece of paper and drawing out the possibilities to figure it out. But I guess, how do you find that balance in terms of brain power versus like actually writing it out, even though I think I've already done it before?
Well, once you've drawn the scenarios, you don't need to redraw them. You just need to look
Okay.
back at them and ask yourself, does a new proposed answer choice fall within that scenario? So if it would render a previous valid scenario invalid, it's no good and you can eliminate it. That's one strategy out of a set of them. And as you said, I did teach a full-length class on this pretty recently,
Okay.
a few weeks ago. So maybe you want to rewatch it. I go through systematically exactly how to approach these in terms of a more theoretical approach, just looking to see, does this have an equivalent consequence, period? And then how to maximize use of previous work and how to reinterpret the original rule in new ways. Because it is possible to sometimes pre-phrase a rule substitution question, which is remarkable when it happens.
Oh, okay, okay. I understand. I see it now. I see it now. And then my last question is, going forward, are you going to send me like the 4-month plan? Is that what it looks like?
Yeah,
Or
I'll send you
should
a
I?
4-month. Yeah, I'll send you a
Okay.
4-month plan.
Okay. All right. That's perfect. All right. That's all the questions that I had. Thank you so much, Steve. You're really helpful.
My pleasure, Clifford. Keep at it and we'll talk soon.
All right. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.